Hey guys, Sandy Butchers here. Welcome back to another video on the Singularian Universe. Now today I have some pretty exciting news for you to share, so let's dive straight in. A couple of days ago I got into contact with Inderjit Kaur, and she is the showrunner of the A Living Series podcast. She combines this together with a blog, and I am so excited to announce to you that there will be an interview on her blog and later on in her podcast as well with me, where we are going to talk about the entire Singularian universe. So we are talking about what it is, what I am writing, what I am playing with, what I am teasing you guys with every now and then. We are talking illustrations, we're talking future projects, so it's going to be epic. I mean, I had such a lovely conversation with her, and we are going to share this interview next Monday, April 12th. Now, besides this wonderful news, it is of course also Thursday, and that means the next episode on the Singularian Grimoire Anthologies has hit the web. So if you are not a patron and you are not taking any benefits from either the ebooks or the paperbacks, you can read one of the free stories today. Now today we have Wings coming online, and Wings is the second story of Birds of a Feather. So that's the book that I have talked about a couple of times already. Wings is, the follow-up story of Splice, which is the first story, obviously. And it follows Gideon Croby a little bit further into his history as a person. So we are going to take a little bit of a closer look on why he is the way he is, or actually we are looking at him the way he was when he was a child. So that's also very exciting to, announce to you guys. And I also wanted to try something else for today. I thought, how cool would it be to read a little part from this story for you? So, let's just give it a go. Here it is.
Birds of a Feather, Entry 2, Wings. Friendship? That's a difficult one. It means different things to different people. Like promises. I mean, we can all make a promise. You make it, you stick to it. Do that, regardless of everything else, and you are laying out the foundations of friendship right there. And let me tell you, friendship matters. Once solid enough to build upon, it becomes the strongest weapon you could wield. Through friendship, you hold the power to create in your hands, and the power to destroy. Gil Griswold is aware of this. Well, if you'd ask me, the man is aware of a bit too much. I mean, why else would he save my life if he didn't already know what would become of me? Which brings me to my next topic, trust. Elusive, I know. Trust these days is hard to find, yet easy to squander. You make a promise, you stick to it. And if all else fails, you'll find that friendship is there to pick up your neglect. You see, there it is again. Friendship. But even with 1,000 friends, you will find yourself alone at the end of the day. It doesn't matter who sleeps next to you, or who is waiting for you at dawn. You are you, and you are all you have. Griswold knew that in time I would come to realize this. I guess in some twisted way it is why he stopped protecting me at a certain point. He taught me that if I wanted to survive, I'd had to fend for myself. I just don't think he expected me to become so good at it. Not until after the day I learned what friendship meant for him. I was 10 years old, having survived under Griswold's protection long enough to develop my wings to a point where they were actually functional. Because of that, however, not a day had gone by where I wasn't beaten, bullied, or scowled at by local kids. The Keep of Whispers was, and still is, a cruel place like that. Despite the keep, the city, being large and relatively wealthy, only few people knew about the hybrids because, simply put, we were so damn good at hiding. Well, most of them anyway. A boy with wings, going around bare-chested because clothes simply wouldn't fit, would turn out to be an easy target. Every day I'd be out in the streets, scavenging and gathering lost tech, computer parts, picking clean old hospitals, you name it. And every day I'd return home, burdened with the load of steel and cobalt, as much as the load of vile words and bad bruises. I practically grew up at the infirmary, hissing at the biting pain of rubbing alcohol against my wounds, while Gale would stitch me back together again. The people of the keep were smart enough to notice that my wounds healed quickly, and apparently this was an invitation to keep those fists coming. Things got worse from there. One day I was discovered in an old ruin of a pharmacy. Lots of loot to haul, not just for me or Griswold. With digital tracking systems and computers still intact, this was a golden stash for any hunter or hoarder alike. I remember her face for many reasons, one of them being struck by the beauty of it. Amidst the pockmarked, dirty faces of the men and women in the Keep of Whispers, her face was as soft and radiant as the sun. And not sure if I was to fight or flight, I dropped the power core from my hands and said, "Hi." She smiled but otherwise ignored me, examining the area and reaching for a comm on her belt. Within minutes, reinforcements had made it to the ruin, and I was left standing in a circle of two men and the woman, bare-chested and wings spread out. "What are you?" one of the men asked. "He means, what are you doing here?" the lady corrected her pal. "Nothing much," I answered, naive little shit that I was. "I'm collecting tech for Mr. Griswold." Thinking about it now, the silence that followed should have warned me to run, but it didn't, and I was pressed down against the ground in a matter of seconds. Boots crushed my ribs, fist cracked my cheekbones, and blood splattered from between my teeth. And as beautiful as I thought the lady was up until then, the look in her eyes changed when she lowered her face to mine. "You know, I was giving you the benefit of the doubt, little freak. But you work for Griswold, so now you have to die." Her words came to me like a broken cyanide tooth, melting down and burning me from inside out. All I needed was the split second the two men were laughing, and escaped through a series of strong beats with my wings. All the way home they followed me, throwing bricks and rubble, shooting and trying to get me down. They succeeded. I crashed into the courtyard, bloodied, bruised and broken. "Mr. Griswold," I screamed, "please help! I need your help!" Of course Gale came running like the wind, but as soon as he stood in the doorway he stopped and froze on his feet. A smile tugged at the corners of his mouth when he looked at the woman behind me. "Well, well, look what the little bird dragged in." He cocked his head and hawked. "If it isn't Lizzie Bogdan, the Blade of the South. What brings you this far north?" "I initially came here to destroy the old pharmacy, but now I'm here for him." Lizzie's slender finger pointed at me. My eyes darted between Griswold and Bogdan, pleading for Gale to step between and save me the way he always did. He didn't. All he did was draw a knife and drop it in the dirt in front of me. "There's a bounty on that woman's head, lad. You want me to patch you up? You know what to do." Gale took a step back to ensure his message was clear, and in response Lizzie Bogdan stepped forward. I could hear her blade sing as it cut through the air with rapid movements. I froze, too damn afraid to even move. Lizzie came closer, sneaking like a cat, tense like a coiled-up snake. I remember red, blood, anger, a haze of fury covering my sight like mist. I thought I had to, crawling my way closer to Gale, begging him to help me. Again he stepped backward. Yeah, his message was clear all right. If I wanted to survive, I had to do this myself. I stood up, wobbling on my feet, skin and bones aching. The fight lasted about 20 seconds before I was overpowered from behind and Lizzie crushed me in a chokehold with a single hand. I can still feel her knife press cold against my back, the biting pain as she started to cut through the stems of my wings. My voice failed, hoarse from screaming. Tears cleansed the blood from my face. Something snapped. I stopped. Everything, fighting, screaming, crying. I remember the feeling of utter serenity as I got lost in my own darkness. The embrace of a warmth I knew could only come from myself, nobody else. I reached my hand behind my head, behind Lizzie's head, and allowed my darkness to sprout talons from my fingers. Pinning down the woman, I drew her over myself in a cry of rage, as if I swung a rug to beat the dust from it. Lizzie slammed into the mud, emptying her lungs in the crash and gasping for air. Rising to my feet, I turned to look at my wings, as they lay cut off and drenched in blood. I bent forward to pick up the knife Lizzie had dropped, cold and calculated. She was the first death, the first murder, slit open from artery to artery as I watched her choke on her own blood before I severed her head entirely. She'd be the first of many. Gale smiled contentedly and ordered his men to shoot Lizzie's companions on sight. Only then did he step forward to pick up my wings from the mud. Follow me, my little friend, he said. I'll fix you up.
Alright, thanks for watching, guys. That's it for now, and I will be seeing you later, of course, if you subscribe to my channel and do hit that bell button. Of course, you are also free to visit me on my Patreon page, which is patreon.com/sandybutchers, or of course on my Twitter. You know where to find me, and I'll be seeing you next time. Ciao, guys.